Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to go through the top 20 summer 2026 fashion trends, and this one's a really interesting mix. I feel like this season is not about one clear aesthetic. It's more about contrasts. On one side, you still have that clean, minimal, very effortless way of dressing. But at the same time, there are all these softer, more expressive elements coming in. More color, more texture, more movement. And what I like about these trends is that a lot of them are actually very wearable. It's not about completely changing your style. It's more about small shifts that make your outfits feel more current. So I'm going to go trend by trend, talk a bit about what's happening, why it works, and then give you some outfit direction along the way. Let's get started. This is one of those trends that feels a bit unexpected at first, and then suddenly it just makes sense. Long pieces, dresses, skirts, tunics, capes, layered over pants, styled in a very easy, natural way. What I like about this version is that it feels calm. Nothing is trying too hard. The fabrics are light, often a bit sheer, and everything just moves nicely together. It's not about creating a crazy layered look. It's more about shifting the silhouette in a subtle way. I also think it's coming back because people still want comfort, but they don't want their outfits to feel too basic. This does both. You're still wearing your usual pants, but the extra layer makes the whole outfit feel more thought through. For outfit ideas, I would keep it very simple. Something long and fluid on top, something easy underneath. If the colors are close to each other, it looks even better. It's quiet, but once you notice it, it looks really good. Cropped tops are back again, but this time they feel more refined. It's not about obvious skin exposure, it's more about proportion and where the eye lands. There's quite a range as well. On one side, you have very simple baby tees and minimal tanks. And on the other, more sculpted, slightly structured pieces that almost act like the focal point of the outfit. But even when it's something basic, the overall styling feels more put together. What makes them work right now is that they don't dominate the outfit. They just sit within it, letting the rest of the look balance things out. So nothing feels overdone or too obvious. For outfit ideas, you can keep it very easy. A cropped top with anything relaxed already looks good, or you can pair it with something more fitted or shorter if you want a sharper, more playful feel. It's quite flexible depending on how you style it. This trend feels like a softer kind of nostalgia. It's not costume-like or too literal. It's more about small references to past summers that feel a bit more romantic and a bit more cinematic. You notice it first in the prints. Stripes, faded florals, and slightly sun-washed patterns that feel like they have been around for a while. There are also subtle nods to vintage scarf prints, a bit of paisley, sometimes even those slightly kitschy holiday motifs, but done in a more refined way. Nothing feels too sharp or too new. Everything has that softened, lived-in look. The pieces themselves follow that same mood. Relaxed trousers, fluid caftans, easy dresses. They carry that effortless holiday feeling, but still look quite elevated. There is also something very escapist about it. It feels like dressing for a destination, even if you are just in the city. Silk scarves, oversized sunglasses, light layers that move with you. It all leans into that slower, more glamorous version of summer. For outfit ideas, I would focus on prints and movement. A striped trouser, a printed dress, or a light caftan layered over something easy. It should feel relaxed, slightly nostalgic, but still very natural to wear. It's one of those trends that quietly changes the mood of your wardrobe. This is one of those trends that never really disappears, but it feels especially right again for summer 2026. That very clean, understated 90s way of dressing where nothing is loud, but everything looks right. It's built on very simple pieces: tank tops, straight-leg trousers, slip dresses, minimal skirts, light knits. Nothing complicated, nothing overly styled, but the overall effect feels very polished without trying too hard. A big reason this aesthetic is coming back into focus right now is the renewed interest in Carolyn Bessette Kennedy, especially with the recent TV series revisiting that era. Her way of dressing captures exactly what this trend is about: clean lines, neutral tones, and a kind of quiet confidence that does not rely on trends or statement pieces. That sense of restraint is what makes it feel current again. No unnecessary details, no heavy layering. The focus is on silhouette, fabric, and how things sit on the body. Even the color palette reflects that: soft blacks, whites, creams, and muted tones that keep everything feeling calm and cohesive. For outfit ideas, I would keep it very stripped back. A tank top with tailored pants, a slip dress on its own, or a simple top with a long skirt. You don't need much else. Maybe a clean bag, minimal jewelry, and that's it. It's the kind of style that looks effortless, but there is a lot of thought behind it. And that's exactly why it works. Puff skirts are having a moment again, and they bring a very different energy compared to everything more minimal we've been seeing. There is volume, there is shape, and it feels a bit playful without looking childish. What defines this trend is that rounded, slightly exaggerated silhouette. Sometimes it comes through bubble hems, sometimes through fuller skirts that hold their structure. Either way, the focus is really on the shape itself. What makes it feel current is how it's styled. Instead of leaning too feminine or too dressed up, it's usually balanced out with something simpler on top: a basic tank, a more fitted top, or even something slightly sporty. That contrast keeps the look grounded. For outfit ideas, I would let the skirt be the focus. Keep the top quite minimal so the shape stands out. A mini puff skirt with a simple top already feels complete, or a slightly longer version if you want something a bit more relaxed. It is one of those pieces that does a lot on its own, which makes styling surprisingly easy. There is something very familiar about polo tops, but right now they feel slightly reworked. They carry that preppy, almost sporty base, but the way they are showing up again feels a bit sharper. The fits are more considered, sometimes more fitted, sometimes slightly cropped, sometimes in soft knits that almost feel elevated compared to the classic cotton version. What makes them interesting again is that balance between polished and casual. A polo has structure with the collar, but it still feels easy to wear. So it naturally sits somewhere in between, which makes it very versatile without trying too hard. You also see small shifts in details: buttons left slightly undone, sleeves a bit shorter, fabrics that feel lighter or more fluid. Nothing dramatic, but enough to make it feel current. For styling, it works in a very effortless way. It can lean clean with tailored pieces or more relaxed with denim or softer bottoms. It really depends on what you pair it with, which is why it keeps showing up across different looks. Pink is everywhere again this season, but it feels more layered than just one shade or one mood. On one side, you have those very soft, almost powdery pinks that feel calm and quite refined. They blend easily into neutral wardrobes and give that slightly romantic, light summer feeling. On the other side, brighter pinks are still around, but they are used in a more controlled way. It's less about going full bold and more about placing it in the right spot. What makes it interesting now is how flexible it is. It can feel minimal, it can feel playful, it can even feel quite polished depending on how you style it. It's not locked into one aesthetic. For outfit ideas, you can keep it subtle with one soft pink piece mixed into neutrals, or go more all-in with tonal dressing. Even something simple like a pink top with matching or similar tone bottoms already feels very current. This trend is coming back again, but it feels more direct this time. It is not just about a hint of lingerie showing, the pieces are fully part of the outfit. You see a lot more statement bras. Lace, embroidered, slightly sculpted styles that are designed to be seen. Sometimes they sit under sheer layers or open shirts, but just as often they are worn on their own, styled like a top. What makes it feel current is how it's grounded. When a bra becomes the main piece, the rest of the outfit usually stays quite clean. Tailored trousers, relaxed denim, or something simple that balances it out. That contrast is what makes it work. It also connects to that broader shift towards lighter dressing. Less layering, more openness, and a different way of thinking about what counts as a top. For outfit ideas, it can go both ways. A visible bra under something lightweight, or a statement bra worn on its own with something more structured underneath. Either way, it doesn't need much else. It's a bold direction, but right now it feels quite natural within the way people are dressing. Balloon pants are one of those silhouettes that instantly change the feel of an outfit. The volume sits through the leg and then tapers in, creating that slightly rounded shape that feels a bit more directional than your usual wide-leg trousers. What makes them stand out right now is the shape. It's not just about being oversized, it's more sculpted than that. There is a clear curve to the leg, which gives movement and structure at the same time. There is something slightly architectural about them, but they don't feel heavy. In lighter fabrics, they actually move really nicely and still feel very wearable for every day. For outfit ideas, a fitted top with balloon pants creates that clean contrast. But a more relaxed shirt, slightly open or layered, gives a more effortless feel. You can also style them with something more statement on top, like a structured piece or something with texture, and let the silhouette of the pants support that. Draping is coming through this season as a general shift in how clothes sit on the body. Instead of everything being clean and flat, fabric feels more fluid. It gathers, twists, falls slightly off balance. You see it across tops, skirts, and lighter layers. Nothing is too fixed in place, which gives outfits a softer, more natural kind of movement. It changes even the simplest pieces. A top with a slight twist at the waist, or a skirt with uneven folds, already feels more elevated without needing anything extra. It's subtle, but it adds depth in a way that feels very effortless. At the same time, dresses are where this really stands out. You see draping happening in multiple areas at once, across the waist, over the hips, along the shoulder, sometimes all within the same piece. That layering of movement makes the silhouette feel more dynamic and a bit more sculptural without becoming heavy. For styling, you can keep it very clean and let the fabric do the work, or mix it with something more structured to create contrast. It also works nicely when different pieces have their own movement, so the whole look feels a bit more dimensional. Baby tees are having a strong return, but they feel a bit more refined this time around. They are fitted, slightly cropped, very simple at first glance, but they bring a certain sharpness to an outfit. Because they sit close to the body, they naturally define the silhouette, which makes everything else you wear with them stand out more. There is also a bit of that 90s and early 2000s energy, but it's toned down. Nothing feels overly styled. For outfits, they can go in multiple directions. With relaxed trousers, they feel very effortless. With something lower rise or shorter, they lean more playful. They also work well layered under or with slightly more structured pieces if you want something more styled. Gold is coming through this season in a more visible way, not just as an accessory, but as part of the outfit itself. You see it in fluid metallic dresses, fabrics with a soft sheen, or pieces that catch the light as you move. It is not always that strong, high shine metallic. A lot of it feels warmer and slightly toned down, which makes it sit more naturally within an outfit. At the same time, gold still works through details. Jewelry, hardware, small accents that bring everything together. When it's layered like that, it adds a certain richness without taking over. For styling, you can go in different directions. A gold piece on its own already stands out, or you can build it into the look through smaller elements. Even very simple outfits feel more elevated when you introduce a bit of gold. Pastels are back again, but they feel more refined and slightly more grounded this time. The tones are softer, slightly muted, almost sun-faded. Powder pink, pale blue, butter yellow, shades that feel light but not overly sweet or too delicate. They sit in that in-between space where they can feel playful, but also quite polished, depending on how they're styled. You also notice a shift in how they're worn. Instead of overly feminine or overly styled looks, pastels are often pared back. Sometimes worn in monochrome, sometimes mixed with neutrals like cream, beige, or even gray, which keeps everything feeling more elevated and less obvious. For outfits, you can stay within one color family for a cleaner look, or mix a few soft tones together if you want something more expressive. Even one pastel piece can completely change the mood of an outfit and make it feel more current without doing too much. Sheer pieces continue to stay relevant, but they feel more natural within everyday dressing now. A sheer top over something minimal, a lightweight dress with a base underneath, or a skirt that adds that extra layer without adding weight. It creates dimension without making the outfit feel heavy. There is also a softness to it. It plays with visibility, but in a very controlled way that never feels forced. You see just enough, and that balance is what makes it feel modern. For outfits, you can keep it very minimal and let the sheer layer add depth, or build a more layered look where different fabrics interact. Even one sheer element is enough to change how the whole outfit looks and moves. Vacation dressing is less about the destination and more about the feeling you get from the clothes. There is a relaxed, slightly escapist mood to it. Linen sets, fluid dresses, open shirts, pieces that move easily and don't feel restrictive. Everything feels lighter, more breathable, and a bit more undone in a good way. At the same time, it still looks put together. The fabrics, the cuts, the way things fall on the body all feel considered, even if the outfit itself looks effortless. That balance is what makes it work so well. For outfits, it's about ease. Pieces you can throw on without overthinking, but that still look complete. It brings that holiday energy into everyday dressing, which is why it keeps coming back every summer. Glove pumps have a very distinct feel to them, even though they're quite minimal. The leather is soft, almost second skin, and the shape is clean and rounded. They don't stand out in an obvious way, but they refine the entire outfit. There's something very controlled and precise about them. They sit somewhere between classic and modern. The silhouette feels familiar, but the softness gives them a more current edge. That combination makes them easy to style. For outfits, They tend to work best when the rest is quite clean, but they can also soften something more structured. Either way, they bring a level of polish that feels quiet but very intentional. Backless loafers bring together two very different ideas: structure and ease. You still get that polished, slightly classic feel of a loafer, but the open back immediately softens it. It makes the shoe feel lighter, less formal, and much more in tune with summer dressing. For styling, you can go clean with tailored trousers or something more relaxed like denim or softer fabrics. They also work nicely with slightly more styled looks, where they balance out the outfit and keep it from feeling too serious. Flip-flops are coming back again, but in a much more elevated way. The shapes are cleaner, the materials feel more considered, and sometimes there is even a heel. They're no longer just something you wear to the beach. They're styled as part of a full outfit. What makes them interesting is how simple they are. They strip everything back, but that simplicity feels very deliberate. It gives the outfit a kind of ease without making it look unfinished. For styling, they work especially well when the rest of the look feels more put together. That contrast is what makes them stand out in a very modern way. But they can also lean more relaxed if the whole outfit follows that direction. They are minimal, but they shift the entire tone of the look. Chain bags are becoming more visible again, and they bring a very specific detail back into focus. The chain adds structure and a bit of shine, even to very simple outfits. It naturally draws the eye and gives the look a more finished feel without needing anything else. They also change how the bag sits on the body. The weight of the chain and the way it falls creates a slightly more defined shape, which makes the whole outfit feel more composed. They can either blend in or stand out depending on how bold the chain is. A finer chain feels more minimal, while a chunkier one becomes more of a statement. Long necklaces are coming back in a more noticeable way, and they change how an outfit is read. Instead of everything sitting close to the neckline, the line drops lower, which creates length and a different kind of movement. It draws the eye down the body and adds a more fluid feel. They work especially well with open necklines or simpler pieces where they have space to stand out. When the outfit is clean, the necklace becomes part of the overall shape rather than just an extra detail. For styling, you can keep it minimal with one longer piece, or layer a few together if you want more depth. It depends on how strong you want that detail to feel within the look. So, those were the top 20 summer 2026 fashion trends. As always, you don't need to follow all of them. I would just pick the ones that naturally fit into your style and build from there. Even small changes can make your outfits feel more current and a bit more considered. I feel like this season is really about balance, mixing something simple with something a bit more expressive, or something classic with something slightly unexpected. That contrast is what makes outfits feel fresh right now. Let me know which trend you like the most, or which one you would actually wear. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps me a lot and supports the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.